How did Kabbalah come into the world? This is a difficult question to answer, dear listener, for Kabbalah has been around for thousands of years, having developed in many different parts of the world. What we can say about it is the following. Kabbalah is the inner or mystical tradition of Judaism. Its teachings contain wisdom about the nature of the divine, the universe, and the place of the human being within the world. Kabbalah is a living tradition that has moved with the times over centuries to adapt its metaphysical teachings to meet the spiritual and cultural needs of the epochs within human development. Although Kabbalah is a Jewish mystical or esoteric system, the influences on it from other streams of the perennial philosophy are very evident over the centuries. Some say the knowledge of Kabbalah dates back to the times of Abraham, or even beyond, but wasn't known by that name. It was probably the 11th century Spanish mystic Solomon ibn Gabirol who introduced the name Kabbalah. The Hebrew word Kabbalah, K-B-L-H, means to receive, or that which has been received, which is the transmission of the teaching from mouth to ear, or from teacher to student. This tells us something about the essential way of bringing this ancient wisdom into the manifested world. As long as Kabbalah has existed, the oral tradition, or the teaching from mouth to ear, has been a crucial way of keeping the tradition alive. Why? Because a true spiritual tradition should be a living one, handed down from teacher to student, or from one living soul to the next. Besides this way of receiving, the Kabbalist is receptive to the higher worlds, or heaven, and therefore is open and available to higher knowledge through other means. A Kabbalist is not a soul who learns and gains knowledge from books, or simply by quoting other sources and enlightened teachers, but receives wisdom directly through its own being. This does not mean that our teachers and books are not relevant, but that the path of the Kabbalist should lead to a direct relationship with the spiritual worlds and with God. Only in this way is the living tradition preserved, and new ideas and changes can be incorporated into its ever-developing revolutions. The tradition of Kabbalah is the mystical lineage within Judaism, and it is probably the oldest and most profound of all Western spiritual and religious disciplines. Some sources within Kabbalah say that God first taught Kabbalah to the angels before the world was created. Humankind, Adam and Eve, then received it from heaven within the Garden of Eden, passed on through the first book of the Torah, also known as Genesis.